You're going to want to read this.
Can you send us an electronic copy, Daniel, to the team?
Yeah, I guess I could.
Or send it to at least Jacques or me, so we could send it out to the rest of the group either way.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I have 11 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Take a few minutes to settle in and some silence. And then, Jacques, would you like to offer our prayer this morning?
Yes.
Thank you so much. So let's
Just before we start, I received pop-up saying AI note taker in Author AI. Many people ask the registration. Is that correct, or it is already registered?
You can so if you don't want to see them, go under view and click do not show or hide non-video participants, and then that will hide all of the AI note takers.
Okay.
That's what I do so that I'm only seeing people on screen.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to give us a minute and then I'll invite you in, Jacques, to give your prayer. Thank you. All right, to settle in, take a moment of silence, get grounded, connected, soul to soul with everyone here. Thank you so much, Jacques. Go ahead.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are very pleased to gather here today as a Friday team, this special co-creative design team. We are aware, all of us, and consciously aware of this celestial connection. We are aware that we can change the outcome of this planet by co-creatively design a family learning center, for example, another piece of subject. We are conscious that our Melchizedek teams are so close to us, but we suspect also that you could have students from outside, and we are very pleased to be here all together. Inspire us today so that we ask the right question, the best outcome for the benefit of all. Guide us in this request. Guide us today in our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel, whenever you are ready. It's to you, Daniel, whenever you're ready. I don't know if you heard me yet.
Who's that?
It's Kona. I'm saying it's to you whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You saying that. Good day. This is Merkaba Melchizedek. First of all, let's do a sound check. Can you hear this reception adequately?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is Merkaba. Let us proceed. Today we have a guest who can speak to you in any language that is spoken on this planet. An individual of such capacity that it has requested its presence here to teach you something new. May I introduce Daniel's thought adjuster? Thank you. Good day, children of Urantia. This is Daniel's thought adjuster. And today I want to teach you a new invocation. One that you do not need to make in command to have spirit present, but one where you accept the very definite fact that all thought adjusters are here. Each one of you in this team has a thought adjuster. And today we will work on the process of how you can invoke yourselves to join this round team of thought adjusters so that you become one with us. Our intentions for doing this is to have you know that I am one. And we want to include you in this oneness. So when you start your sessions, you will want to come to center, come to focused attention within yourself, with your thought adjuster, and then in the silence of your mind, join with all other thought adjusters in the circle. We are already joined in this oneness. We want you to include yourselves in this oneness. This one and Avila, Melchizedek, his literary assistant, have written a lesson that will help you greatly. When we refer you to the Melchizedek workshop manual, instruction manual regarding the mystic circle, you will want to read that and read it well, because we will be practicing that here. We will practice this in the next two meetings where I will guide you, or this one will guide you in that process. And then in future sessions, team sessions after that, you will be joined, you will be guided by your facilitator. Now, each of you is encirculated. By joining with us, you are automatically encirculated with each other. Your thought adjusters, including myself, are encirculated already. And so when you join with your thought adjuster, you will consciously know that you are encirculated with all other thought adjusters and individuals in the circle. You may wonder why we are doing this and why that a thought adjuster is addressing you personally, and also to all others who read these transcripts and listen to this recorded message. It is because you are not exercising the full potential of your godhood that rests within you. Many of you do not exercise it yourself, and so we want to teach you how to do that as a group, as a team, as an encirculated group. When new members join the group, you also want to have them join as well. This is a conscious effort on their part, does not need to be spoken out loud, but must be done with intention and command within their mind. You as mortals are encirculated with the heart line, which is pink, and the mind line, which is blue. In this circuit of all of you, regardless of the physical distance, these two energetic circles are counteropposed. One is clockwise and the other is counterclockwise. One beats slowly as though your heart, and the other is fast and almost furious, as you might say, with the electric blue line of your mind line. You, by exercising this, will find a new commonality among yourselves, a oneness. By doing this, we want to assist you to eliminate the fractious nature of your discussions and your intentions and your agendas that you hold silently in mind. By giving permission consciously to us to do that with you, you will be encirculated in union. And what we are seeking is, as you have been taught, a coherence of all your thoughts, so they join each other in complement, not as dominoes, but in one encirculated circuit of energy. You also might attune these colored lines with the father line, the son line, and the daughter line. And accordingly, the spirit line is there with you, which holds the circuits in place with your intentions. I believe that is enough for today. We are not so much interested in your agenda for the team, but your agenda for your own personal lives with spirit and coming to the house of the Father. Good day.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Daniel.
Mhm.
Thank you, your TA.
I didn't know about this until last night. Not much was revealed to me other than this was the intention for Spirit's participation today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
I have a question to you, Daniel, or to your TA. Is in the past we have discussed with yourself the Merkaba. You know, some of us have already experienced the creation of Merkaba with Melchizedek or Archangel. I have done some exercises with Divine in the past. Is there something which is this mystic circle? Is there something which is linked with Merkaba or equivalent?
Yes, very similar, but it's a one step higher. The Merkaba that we build is three-dimensional and is discussed fairly well in the teacher's manual, the workshop manual, and it engages celestial teachers and angels, period. The next step is to, excuse me, and usually in the circle of people who are physically present. We can do this here over Zoom as well. It's enjoyable to do it in person, though. Someday I hope we can do that. Is that the celestial teacher and angel stand behind each mortal and facilitate the engagement of the mortal with those circuits. Okay. In the case of the circuit, the circle, the mystic circle, that the thought adjuster was talking about is that the thought adjuster figuratively stands behind each person in the circle. Okay. Actually, of course, they are within you, within your mind. And so you envision this, and it's a much more conscious presence of the thought adjuster in you. The intention of this is to upstep your merantial capabilities. And that's why there's a mention of this June 8th, 2014 session by George Bernard that you will enjoy. And I will send out the digital copy to you after this session. These 1111 are posted every day, and I'm not part of the council or the people who select the sessions to publish. That's done by other people. The thought adjuster is not revealing everything about this mystic circle to you, and that is a matter of being conservative intellectually with you. It does not want to overburden you in processing this too much, but rather that you do this processing with your thought adjuster in the stillness of your day. This is a teaching, learning process that is beyond the 4 dimensions of our physical universe. It is a part of the psi phenomena that people have been studying, and that of which meditation and transpersonal experiences are a part. What may happen, what has happened in the past when we built a Merkaba with everyone physically present, is that when we enter into that space, some people do spontaneously enter into a transpersonal spiritual experience. I hope you appreciate what has come about today, is that they are striving to upstep you, not just quickly, but qualitatively in your spiritual experience and your spirituality and identification of who you are, and identify more closely yourself with your thought adjuster in everyday life. Gosh, how long ago has it been, Cheryl, that we conducted a mystic circle? 10 years? 12 years?
Yes, somewhere in there.
Yes.
When this was first talked about, this first came up, I smiled because we built a Merkaba in this home with close friends. But as I'm hearing this today from Daniel, I'm still learning more. So as he shared this message, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. So this is all good because I'm always listening and learning.
Thank you. What she was referring to by us building a Merkaba in our house is that the primary element of the Merkaba is a spiritual energetic anchor. And once it is placed, it is permanent. The mountains may move, this territory may be flooded in a couple million years, but the Merkaba will still remain there. And it is something that you can connect to immediately from any distance. If you are walking on the moon and you want to connect to Merkaba in your home, you would do that. The universe is just a thought away. Okay, I'll give away the next part. With your consciousness, you can, when you build a Merkaba with others and build an anchor and place the anchor later on, immediately or later on, after you collapse the Merkaba, the anchor will remain there. And through your prayer and your intention and your consciousness, you can direct the energy from the north pole of the anchor to any place for any need. Okay? This is a conscious effort. It is a means to make your prayer meditation very powerful and effective. Yes, this is really sends people into orbit when they hear this kind of woo-woo, yada yada language. But it nonetheless is part of the reality that you have volunteered to participate in long ago. You are just being privileged that this is being revealed to you at this time. You, this team, are advanced enough to now participate effectively. And as a team, each of you can connect to an anchor that we will build later on. And each of you tap into the north pole of the energy and project it as a team to wherever it is needed. The purposes are very similar to prayer in that you do not pray or direct the energy for any self-return. No self-aggrandizement, no ego satisfaction, none of that. Is that this is a service, and you act in behalf. I can't get those straight. In behalf, on behalf. That on behalf of Christ Michael and Nebadonia, and your thought adjuster, and the planetary thought adjuster. You see, the planetary thought adjuster has already built and circuited all the thought adjusters on the planet. And this is a part of what is developing in our world now. And the teaching mission, correcting time, magisterial mission are all part of that. And you may wonder how this connects with the design team process. Well, my friends, when you are using a co-creative design team with a spiritual consultant, or whether it's just an ordinary design team, when you as a team gather together and seek to develop a program of assistance and project that energy to where it is needed as a team, things will happen. And you will want to make yourself a part of a very effective prayer team is not the right word. Energetic projection team. It sounds too science fiction. But anyhow, I think you get the point. So this is just the beginning, my friends. You have made your commitment long ago to the Father. And so this is an outworking of Michael's plan with the executive assistance of Gabriel and the Most Highs. This is why angels are of great assistance, because of the plans you make can be invoked with the presence of an archangel or other angelic being, and know that that plan will be executed by them. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Mhm.
Yes, Kona?
You mentioned the Melchizedek workshop manual.
Yes, it's been sent out several times. Go find it.
Okay.
Kind of. You should be able to find it on almost any of the old websites. Daniel
Okay.
should have a copy.
It's in
Yeah,
there.
I will search for it. I'm sure I read this one long ago, but I will
Okay.
search for it and I will share with you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And you also mentioned at the beginning of our session that you had a message around the 1111 message. Did you have, other than sending out the transcript, do you have a message associated with that you would like to share with us?
You heard it from my thought adjuster. See, those two things are connected. You it's let me be candid about myself. It's easy to be disappointed in you as a team, I guess, because I have spent 24/7, day after day after day, for years working with Spirit on these projects. And in my selfish little mind, I've been expecting far too much of you, as you have busy lives working, caring for family, children, your own education, your own activities, keeping house, driving the kids to school. And so I have to scold myself for feeling that way. It's I was in your shoes many years ago when I worked full time for an agency that was a curse to me. But anyhow, it occupied my time, and so you are going to enjoy aspects of your future that I've enjoyed. I don't know how that's going to come about, and if I have an opportunity to bring some of that about, I will do so. I think it would be quite lovely for all of us to meet at a country resort in the Ozarks and fly everybody from around the world who wants to participate to be there and engage in the activities. If I was a multimillionaire, I would do that. But we'd probably do it in Colorado in the mountains. That's one of my dreams. So Kona, I am a little short. I've sent out many of these documents many times. And so they're there to be found.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Jacques.
Yeah, just if you wish, I could share for the other member of the team my own experience with the Merkaba and the team of Divine Smet. If you agree, Daniel.
Sure. Is that okay, facilitator? Excuse me.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you. Go ahead, Jacques.
Okay, so 10 years ago, I've discussed with Daniel, it was in 2011, about Merkaba, and Daniel sent me a document how to build up a Merkaba. Then I met Divine Smet, and she has the same document because they discussed together at this time long ago. And Divine Smet has a website called Mezzaverde website. And the team of Divine Smet was creating Merkaba or creating Anchor of Light how she called them, in every home of those who participate with her. So I created a Merkaba here. And then when we connect together like we do today, about a team of 7, 11 people maximum, we connect to our own Merkaba and to his temple in, it was in Placencia in Belize. And each time we connect, we had a sort of mission to clean up the planet on some, I would say, area where the dark are active. We don't know yet, each of us don't know exactly the area at the beginning, but sometimes divine say, we go in this area of the world. And then we pray for the benefit of all to clean up the mess there. Sometimes it was human alone, sometimes it was also with many celestial around. Personally, I've never seen celestial around them. Only one time I dreamed what we did in Africa. It was a zone in Africa which was still in war and in mess. And then I have seen, so maybe it was like the dark one moving around, like, you know, there was, how you call it, in the desert, you know, the bushes which are running from the wind. I saw this kind of thing in a vivid dream. It was a real vivid dream, and with a big storm. That was the only time I saw. I recall something from this activity. So that was what we were doing for many years. Then I left the group for whatever the reason.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. I would be interested in reading the document on building a Merkaba, if you have that available.
You want it from me, Kona? Or because
Yes, please.
it's a document from Daniel. I can send it to you.
Well,
It should be
Daniel
out there,
says
man.
he sent these out, so it's out
Okay.
there somewhere, and I don't know where everything is. But Jacques, you do, so
Yeah.
I'm using you as my resource. How's that? We had Bea and Martha, you arrived late, but welcome
Thank
to
you.
you. Did you have any comments or questions?
I don't really know much about Merkabas, but when you describe the anchor of light, it kind of makes sense to me, but I'd be interested in learning more about it.
I find it interesting because I've studied the Merkaba with the Kabbalah and understanding the Israeli letters and the meaning behind the letters and the building of it, but I did not know about this aspect of building a spiritual Merkaba. So I think, you know, my training has brought me up to this point where I'm understanding the pieces of it, and now I can see how that's implemented. So I'm very excited about that.
This is, if I may interject,
Sure.
the what's happening now. I wrote several papers on consciousness and that sort of thing, involving quantum field. And so I'm getting a lot of feedback from academia EDU on consciousness, many papers. And the people who are involved in physics and the hard sciences don't get that the consciousness of mind. See, mind is non-temporal, non-dimensional. Consciousness is non-dimensional, non-temporal. And mind is a facilitator of consciousness and director of energy. So that what we are doing by building a Merkaba is we are using our consciousness to manipulate energy with the authorization of spirit. We become active mortals, not dabbling in the arcane arts, but in the spiritual arts of the Creator. And so we do this for good, and we are authorized to use this for good, and that if we intend to use it for other purposes, the spiritual entities behind us or with us break the circuits. So you can do quite a bit with your own mind, but you don't become very powerful by yourself, but with others and with the spirit working with you, you become extremely powerful. So we are, this is part and parcel of the change of consciousness of this planet. You are the early pioneers of the new era for this planet. It's going to take a while because not everybody wants to go with us. And many people are adamantly opposed to talking about these quantum states, or using the energy that exists in the universe. What is it? The energy anchor. Energy anchor is, is a direct offshoot of the universe energy. It is you're with mind, we are building an anchor in a place using our minds with universe energy, chi, life force energy. Each of you has life force energy in you, chi. And so you, with your consciousness and mind, can apply the energy in you to build these, well, paranormal is not the adequate word to describe what we do, but I think you get the gist of it. Okay.
Jacques, you had a question or comment? Go ahead, Jacques.
Yeah. Just to let you know a concrete example we did quite often. When somebody was aware that a hurricane was to touch a zone, an island, often our group of Mezza Verde in the past, we set up by email a meeting saying at this time, not to connect on Zoom like we do today, but we say at 6 p.m. French time and so on and so on. We gather all together and we will send our energy to this zone so that there is no destruction. And as said also by Mekiventa to Daniel on some transcript, be careful where you move the hurricane, not to make more damage on other zone. So you have to say, for the benefit of all, move the hurricane outside the human areas. So we did that, and we say we will do it for 30 minutes. So it could be at any time, but it's the same time for everybody. I don't know if you want to comment, Daniel, on this activity. So
yes, I was witness to at least 2 of those events, and if you want to see a miracle happen, that's a demonstration.
Yeah.
You have a question or comment? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a comment. I did that with well, actually I did it by myself, but I used my thought power to attach it to other groups that were doing the same thing during Hurricane Dorian. That was the level 5 hurricane that threatened to hit the U.S. coast, Floridian coast, a few years ago. Now, anyway, it was just like a thought experiment for myself. And I just thought, well, I'm just going to, try to. So I tried to calm myself down. I'm not a meditator. And I just visualized the hurricane not only dissipating into the atmosphere, because hurricanes are like spirals, right? So they dissipate at their edges. And I just, I visualized this hurricane lifting up into the atmosphere, dissipating, and then moving into the Atlantic, and losing strength. And I basically attached my attentions to others that I knew were using their thought power or prayer, whatever you want to call it, to make this happen. And I don't know, I felt something during it. So I thought, well, maybe I am helping a little bit. But it turns out that that's what happened. And I have a feeling that it was a lot of people, praying or whatever in their lexicon, because some of people don't have like the spiritual concepts. I think it did help.
Yes. Sure.
Thank you. Cheryl, you were going to make a comment?
Oh, a few years ago here, about 4 years ago, we had a serious fire here in Evergreen. It was very close. We could see the flames and smoke, and everybody was evacuating. And I took a trip up to our local Safeway, and there was a great big prayer circle of men that had connected in the Safeway parking lot, and they were praying for rain. And this started prayer groups everywhere. Everybody started to pray for rain. Well, guess what? We got rain, and at that time, the fire department were taking were hovering over the lake that's close by, and they were coming down and taking, I mean, all these water reservoirs were being used to address the fires, and that's quite a magnificent sight.
I think the same
Wow.
thing happened in Australia a few years ago when they were having their fires. A lot of people
Right.
were praying for rain,
Yeah,
and eventually it came and put the fires out.
yeah. So
And
power,
unexpectedly as well. Unexpected rain.
Mhm.
Best prayer rain. I'm reminded of the indigenous cultures and the Native Americans who, you know, if they need rain, they go out, they set their intention, they visualize rain, and then they go back to doing what they're doing. And then they have rain. It's
That's
not
the way
that
to
it's
do it.
just part of that's part of their culture. I mean, and we've gotten away from understanding, this thing that is so ancient within so many cultures, and we're quote unquote rediscovering it.
See, and excuse me, that's the same energy in the Merkaba, in our life force energy, our chi. See, once you realize the power of that, the connectedness of it, it blows my mind. It's just wonderful.
Well, it's co-creative energy, right? So I think, we put out our energy, our intention, our, desires, and if picked, I think of it as, if I put up an intention or want something and it's like non-egoistic enough, and I'm really, praying for other people and not myself, and then I imagine that spirit who is listening to me, decides to co-create with me, then that just expands that, like that just makes it happen, right? It's almost like it's a co-creative partnership between us, our thoughts, um, maybe not even with spirit, but with Urantia as well, because we are encirculated with the planet. So just by being here, right? So
Right.
Jacques?
Yes, when I read the last transcript from Mission Urantia 17, I realized that somebody jumped up from nowhere, Stefan. This person is the right person we need. When I read what he said about how to, let's say, created a united front from all the, let's say, Urantia community, he said we need a united front to tell the people that celestial are real. And these people came at one session. Never heard about it before. Maybe you, not me. No. That's, I think, the goal we had with the celestial to help us, and this arrived.
We did put that intention out there, and yes, he popped up and showed up, and we're definitely in conversation with him. He's in conversation with David because they have similar skills. So yeah, if we continue to put our intention out there for where we're going, and call forth, people will show up. I mean, I've been doing that a lot recently, you know. Christ Michael, Mother Nebadonia, could you please send me a few people with these skills?
Yep.
So thank you so much, Daniel. Any further gifts for us today?
Just a minute. Macaventa says we are in a good place. Thank you and good day.
Thank you so
So-
much.
We will
Thank you.
we'll recede from the meeting and let you guys get on with your business and discussion of how you want to proceed. All right? Love you
And we'll
guys.
see you next Friday.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Love you
you.
too.
Love to
Bye-bye.
both of you.
Au revoir.
Bye, Cheryl. Bye, Daniel.
Bye.
Love you
Bye.
guys.
Wow.
All right, friends. What a beautiful message, and way to start our day. I need a bio break. Jacques, would you be our facilitator for the
Yes.
moment
Yeah.
and see where it is that we need to go? And I'll be right back.
Okay. I
Thank
think-
you. I also need to quickly
Okay.
do something. I'll be right back. Thank
Okay.
you.
We resume in 5 minutes. Okay.
Oh,
Juan,
that's a good idea.
Juan, I have a question to you. Juan?
Dime.
Yeah. I would like to know how, when I set up a meeting like this one, I can nominate a backup. Because next Sunday, there is a feast in my village, you know, starting by today, Sunday and Sunday. And maybe next Sunday, it will be difficult for me to connect the session. Do you know if it's possible to nominate a person as host? So that you can start the meeting yourself? Is it possible?
Sí, sí es posible. Voy a preguntarle a David
Ah,
a ver cómo se hace y yo te digo para que estemos pendientes de eso. La traducción no se está haciendo ahorita, ¿verdad? No translation.
ah,
There is not translation.
yes, I have translation for you.
Ah, okay. You know what I say.
Yes, you said you will ask David how to do that.
Okay. Gracias, Jack.
Because I would like you next Sunday to be the host so that you can start the connection. If not possible, I will try to connect at 5 or 6, sorry.
Yo puedo entrar en tu cuenta, pero recuerda que como está la parte geográfica, diferencias geográficas, entonces yo necesito que cuando vaya a entrar, él me va a pedir un código. Tú estés listo viendo tu correo para que me envíes el código y así yo puedo entrar y manejar la reunión. ¿Entendió algo? Did you understand?
No, no, no.
Yo te lo escribo más tarde. All right? Yo te mando un correo. I will send you an email.
Okay, good.
I'm going to the bathroom.
Okay, okay, okay.
Ok, Jack. Pero, Jack, tú sí entiendes algo de español. Do you understand something of Spanish?
No.
Spanish,
Spanish? Where?
yes. You know some Spanish.
Yes, some Spanish. Very
If
little.
if I speak slowly, can you understand me?
Yes, in English, yes.
I'm afraid to speak English.
No. Maybe the question was also Kona knows the answer. I was saying to Kona, I was saying to Juan that this Sunday, this weekend, is a feast on our village from today, tomorrow, and Sunday.
Hmm.
I can set up a meeting Sunday at 6 p.m. But I can maybe connect to make the connection, but maybe I would like to have Juan as the host so that when he connect, he can start the connection without any problem and make the recording. Do you know if it's possible?
He should be able to, I've done that for Donna, for instance, you
Yeah.
know, going in. You can have someone in, but there seems to be the challenge with, you know, when Zoom decides to verify the host and verify your account, they send you a verification code to your email, and then he doesn't have access to it.
Okay. Understand.
So that becomes an issue.
May-
Martha?
Thank you. I also want to say that unfortunately, I will no longer be available on Sunday because our conference starts on Sunday. And exactly at 6 o'clock, we will be in that conference evening session. So I'm flying to Johannesburg on Sunday morning and only coming back on Tuesday afternoon. And during all that time, I will not be available.
So that leaves you out, me out, Jacques out, and
Yeah,
Juan
it
would be
doesn't-
meeting on his own.
So it doesn't seem viable. And it looks like we don't have translation. Am I right, Juan? Que no hay traducción ninguno.
No, no, lo que voy a tratar de hablar lento para los que sepan algo de español puedan entenderme. ¿Ok? Yo sé que hablar rápido español es no es audible, no lo entienden así nomás. De todas maneras, recuerda que yo hablo un español no coloquial, sino profesional. No tengo muchas palabras de localismo ni nada de esas cosas. Entonces, es muy posible que me entiendan mucho mejor así.
But the rest of you can't understand him at all if he's speaking in Spanish, right?
There are
I'm getting no
subtitles.
translation and
Huh?
Yeah.
there's no translation.
So
And
no,
I think that's about the version, Jacques, that you have. I think we have to pay for a more expensive version in order to get the translation,
yeah.
unless you've done that already.
Yes,
You did.
I have taken, it's called Workplace, Zoom Workplace Pro.
So you're paying for the pro version. Okay,
Yeah.
so but we're still not getting the translation. So you may
Yeah.
want to contact them.
Okay, because I have the translation myself.
You have it?
Are
Oh,
you
but
get,
we don't
you're
have it.
getting good translation, but the rest of us are not.
Ah.
So that makes me wonder if the rest of us have to have
Can
that,
you-
or what's the difference?
No. Maybe there's something that you need to do for us to receive it.
Yeah, I'm sure. It says for me subtitle language English. If I do that, it's better for you. You can see it.
No, but if Jacques speaks, Jacques,
Yeah.
Juan, tú puedes hablar para mirar si nos traduce.
Voy a cambiar. Ok. Hola, Marta, ¿cómo estás? Espero que esta traducción se haga efectivamente. ¿Correcto?
Okay, it looks like it's translating. Just say another sentence. Say my name is Juan. I'm in
Marta.
Venezuela. Okay,
Marta.
it is true. Yeah.
Marta, en español.
No. Say your name. Sorry. No, say a sentence in Spanish.
El sol está radiante y muy luminoso.
Oh no, it's not translating you, no.
No.
No traduce.
But is it translating for you,
No.
Jacques?
Solamente inglés porque tengo idioma de subtítulo, lo tengo en inglés porque lo entiendo mejor. Si lo pongo en español, no voy a entender
Oh.
nada.
It was partly translated for me, but not always, so I don't know.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like it's working very well. Sorry, I'm waiting for an Uber to bring me something from someone. So I will have to leave when they're outside. Which looks like it's right now. Okay, it
No,
is outside. I'll
I-
be right back. Thanks.
Okay,
I'm just
so
gonna go.
Sunday looks like it's off. I had told Martha when we met that I have something every single day. So that isn't on, I have no Sabbath. So I have to create a Sabbath. And so Sunday is going to have to be my Sabbath. It's the only day that I can get where I can either spend time with family without interruptions, because every other day of the week, the family has disruptions. And so I need at least one day that has no disruptions. And then every other week it's going to be Donna anyway. So Sunday is not going to work for me. Now, my idea was to see whether we wanted to extend one of our meetings, either Wednesday or Friday, or choose a different day, and have 2 days with a longer period of time rather than 3 days, with, 3 2-hour meetings per week. What do you guys, I mean, we'll ask Martha when she gets back. B, I don't know if you're still here with us. I know Friday is pretty much the only day that you can commit to, and I don't know if an extra hour on Friday works for you. But 3 days is really tough. And then I'm getting ready to go into a new semester where I will have, I have a Friday class, and then I have another class, but I don't have the schedule for that yet. It hasn't been posted.
Yeah, I can't do more than 2 hours on Friday.
Okay.
For me, same. 2 hours is good. Above 2 hours,
Okay.
it's quite complex. Even Wednesday starting at 6 for me is difficult because when I have at 7 p.m. here at home, it's become complicated after 7 p.m. It's why Mission
Okay.
Urantia starting at 7 p.m. for me, I often go off after. I cannot stay longer.
Do you
So
mean
yes,
Macaventa Monday
yes,
or
yes,
yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Mission
Okay.
Urantia Monday
Okay.
at 7 is difficult.
Juan, what about you? You're good anytime?
No hay ningún problema en que se cambie los días. Yo me adapto a cualquier horario. Si es de noche, yo también lo puedo hacer de día.
All right, so we don't have translation. Try English. I think your English is good.
Es que no está Marta. Disculpa.
Martha's not here to translate. Sorry.
I have no problem. Any
Okay.
day, any time.
Okay.
It's
If
good.
we started an hour earlier, I don't have any control over the Mondays, Jacques, because
I know.
Macaventa Monday, yeah. And Macaventa Monday is not specifically Mission Urantia. I mean, it's kind of independent at this point. So that would be a JT, JT is hosting it. I don't know if starting earlier on Friday would work. That's early for Daniel. And I don't think Martha's available earlier. So Martha, we were just discussing, you know, especially with Sunday coming up, Sunday's not going to work for me. I don't
Yeah.
know if having a different day with more hours works. Friday, more hours does not work for Bea or Jacques. Juan, it doesn't matter too much. And it's probably too late in the evening for you. But Sunday, I know I'm not going to be available on Sundays.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about some consistency with our meeting, or do we want to just try to do Wednesdays and Fridays right now and see how that goes?
I think let's try and do Wednesdays and Fridays right now.
And
Okay.
if we start early, 1 hour early in Wednesday, it's complicated for you or not? So that,
I can't, yeah, I'm afraid I have meetings and things on Wednesday.
Is there another day that's better than Wednesday for you?
No, it would be better for me to start at 6 o'clock both days, but but I guess that's not possible for others.
yes, Juan?
Juan?
Marta, para preguntarle a Jack si él entendió lo que yo le dije hace rato acerca de que él quiere que yo sea el host de la reunión del domingo. Por lo que veo ya no va a haber reunión del domingo. Pero vamos a suponer que sea en cualquier momento, que él no puede estar.
Yeah.
Yo le dije que, ok, que yo podía entrar tranquilamente a la cuenta, pero que ella verificaba con un código, ¿verdad?
He's
Y que la única manera es que él estuviera pendiente del correo cuando le llegue y enviarme inmediatamente vía correo el código y yo puedo entrar tranquilamente.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Juan. Jacques, he says that if you understood that what he said is that any time when you couldn't be here,
Yeah.
that he would be the host,
Yes.
and all you had to do is make sure that you were looking out for the code and send him the code, then he would have no problem. But of course, you wouldn't always be in a place where you had access to your
Yeah.
computer. So that would make it difficult.
Okay, we will see. But okay, Juan, okay, we do that. Okay.
So I
So
think
next,
also that I told you guys, one of the things, Martha, I want to discuss further, and we'll have our meeting tomorrow, is to get a professional Zoom account to alleviate some from David that our organization will
Absolutely, yeah.
sponsor.
Mm.
And depending on the version that we get, we can have multiple users. So anybody from the team can host
Can use it.
at any
Yeah.
time without complication.
I
But
think it's a brilliant idea, and I think, yeah, it definitely has to
But-
be done as soon as
but
possible.
Martha, just to let you know that I have a professional account. It's called Zoom Workplace Pro.
Yeah.
How many users can you have?
More than 10
If
for
you-
sure.
So you have that. So you should simply make Juan a user,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then he can log in and host, and there's no complication. So if you
Yeah.
have that account, you know, make Juan a user, make Martha a user, make me a user. And so when you're not available, any of us can log in and host without having to get a verification code from you.
Okay. Because I can manage, I think, at every time to send the invitation to you. It's not too complex because you just copy and then it's easy. And then, okay, I will check if I can to make you users.
Right. And then
And-
any of us can
Yeah.
host the meeting. Good.
I know from my work one, all they need really is your password, is a pass, you know, is the pass things, and then anybody can start it. So
Yes,
we all just share a password.
but I think Zoom sends from time to time a verification code because I gave
Right.
you my password. I gave to
Mhm.
Juan my passwords. Juan, you have it, all my access account. Juan knows everything.
Just
But when Juan connects from
Okay.
Venezuela, they say, "What?"
They think, I see, they
Yeah.
do the due diligence. I understand.
Okay.
right. So if we're users, we won't have that issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Juan?
Juan?
Puede ser que el problema que tengo con la conexión sea por los bloqueos que han hecho el gobierno a las redes e internet. Puede ser que eso sea lo que esté afectando, porque yo antes entraba tranquilamente, sin ningún código de verificación. Entonces puede ser que sean los bloqueos a internet que ha impuesto el gobierno.
He believes that the government has put blockages to internet, the Venezuelan government, because before the time he could get in and out without any problem.
Hmm. Okay.
Possible, yeah.
The other advantage is if we are each users, if we all log in as the user, then whoever is the host, let's say Juan is hosting and he loses power, none of us will lose the connection. It won't matter because we're logged in on the same account.
Okay, clear.
Okay. All right. Anything else you guys discussed while I was gone? No.
I think we are late on one transcript. The last one with Daniel. It was on consciousness last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We had the recording, but we don't have the transcript. Juan, did you because we get the quick summary, but not the real transcript, because it is an important one last Friday about consciousness. It's a long one.
Mm.
Or Wednesday, I don't remember which day.
It was Friday because
was
he
Friday,
only is
yeah.
on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Juan?
Todos los videos que se han producido están ahorita en YouTube, con excepción de la reunión anterior que no hubo grabación.
Oh, there
Se
was
fue
no
parte.
recording. There was no recording for last Friday.
Monday, Sunday.
No.
No, last
Sunday.
Friday was,
You had one because I listened the one. I think I have the link. No. We had one. From Daniel, we had one on consciousness and with Bob Wilson.
8:16. I'm looking.
Creo que la reunión anterior no hubo grabación.
No, yeah.
La anterior.
Oui.
Y de todas maneras, todos los videos producidos están ahorita colgados en YouTube. No entendió. YouTube.com.
.com.
You posted it on YouTube?
Marta, por favor.
Aquí estoy. Sorry, I am right here.
Que estoy diciéndole a Jacques que todos los videos producidos están colgados ya en YouTube.
All the videos are already on YouTube of every event we've had, of every meeting.
Exceptuando uno que no se hizo, que no se grabó.
Except one which was not recorded.
Yeah.
¿Cuál era? La última.
Creo que el anterior, el penúltimo.
The one with
La penúltima reunión.
was that Friday's one with Daniel?
No, fue el domingo.
Oh, he says Sunday was the one that was not recorded. So Friday was recorded with Daniel and
Sí,
Azala.
Friday sí. Sí, ese sí está.
Sí, entonces, yeah, so there is a Friday's one.
Yeah,
Y
because,
sí hay las capciones.
Yeah.
Sí hay la transcripción de captions.
Del anterior tengo ya un documento más o menos hecho. No está corregido totalmente, pero ya está más o menos resumido, o sea, concretado.
Lo de Daniel.
Ajá.
Oh, he says, Jacques, he says he does have one He does have the transcript. It's not been corrected and it's not been finalized, but he does have a transcript that he's still working on
Okay,
of the day when Daniel was speaking.
good.
Porque él necesita donde hable Azala y yo lo puedo corregir también.
Bueno, yo se lo envío tal como lo tengo y usted lo corrige.
Okay. Okay. So he's
because-
going to send me the version that's not corrected and I will correct it then.
Because we need this Friday version from Daniel, because there is a long message from Celestial, from
Okay.
Makivanta. Like today, we need at least this version with the introduction of, I would say, Mystic Circle and Merkaba, because this is interesting stuff we need to keep in our record. Good.
Okay.
Juan?
Yo estoy leyendo, recuerden que yo he traducido casi todas esas transcripciones y por lo tanto las he leído. Yo creo que hay transcripciones desde Charles, el maestro Charles, que hablan sobre eso, Merkaba. Hay muchas transcripciones que hablan sobre Merkaba. ¿Puede traducir, Marta?
Certainly, he says, remember that he has translated most of the teaching mission messages, and there are messages that goes back to teacher Charles that speak about the Merkaba that he's translated. So he read all of them.
Yeah.
And so one can, and he says many others also speak about the Merkaba, so we can look for them and just pull them out.
Yeah, but
About the murder.
what I want to share, what I want to share with you is the Word document, a special Word document that summarizes all the steps to create a Merkaba.
Please do.
Okay.
Yeah, I will share this
Chévere.
with you.
Thank you very much.
Excelente, Jack.
Okay.
Okay, so we've had a little bit of housekeeping. We had talked about moving forward, using the design team template that we've created in working on the Family Learning Center. Where are you guys? How are you feeling about that? What is your perception?
Yes.
Martha?
Thank you. I have, I guess I have a strong sense that the work that Yoam is doing and the work we're doing here must at some point meet. And I think part of the Family Learning Center is the emphasis on the 7 values and the work we want to do with youth. And if we could start, because that is part of the Family Learning Center. So I was just wondering if we can't start with something that can become, especially now with the help of Stefan and with the help of AI, to pull together everything that is, maybe I should start. Could we have a masterclass with Stefan about the use of his database of all the teaching mission materials? And then start, so first he comes, he explains to us what he's done, how we can use it without him needing to be there, and then start pulling together everything, for instance, about the Merkaba that we're talking about now, but also about the values, and start focusing on something that can become a booklet for the website, as well as the beginning of a Family Learning Center piece of material. So I guess that was my thing, is start with one element of a Family Learning Center, but working with Stefan and through a masterclass for all of us.
I'm similarly interested in how Juan does what he does and how Jacques do what they do, because the 3 of them are using AI to pull information from these databases. And so Stefan is just the most recent. And we've gotten, Daniel sent out, I believe it was Daniel that sent out no, it was in our correspondence with Stefan about using AI. John gave us a transcript from Price Michael, I think. Yeah, about, what they would like us to do with AI. just in a nutshell, it says, you know, the AI is there. It's a valuable tool. Those who want to do less than good, you know, are going to use it. And so they want to make sure that we are using it more extensively because AI learns from us. You know, it requires human input. So perhaps on our master class, we're learning from all three about, you know, how they're using the tools so that we can learn to collaborate together and be more efficient with those tools. How does that sit with you, Juan?
En la reunión anterior quedamos en que yo iba a presentar un documento acerca de las mejores prácticas de crianza, basado en los escritos de Daniel Rafael, los 7 valores y el documento número 177 de Urantia.
Okay, déjame traducir rápidamente. He said last time we agreed that Juan, would present today a paper on best practices in child rearing based on Daniel Rafael's work, including the 7 values, and paper 177 from the Urantia book, 177 from the Urantia book. Okay.
Okay, perfect. And so what I'm going to do for Wednesday, Martha, you're facilitator on Wednesday, so perhaps you can communicate with Stefan and make arrangements with Juan. What would be helpful for Wednesday is to have bullet point instructions on what AI that we can download for free and use on our computers, as well as how to use that AI to search the databases. I haven't tampered with AI at all, and I have to get some clarity with my university about if it's acceptable, how it's acceptable. So if we can do AI for a Wednesday, because we know that our time on Friday is with Daniel. Yes.
May I just ask, sorry, I just remembered my boss today put a meeting that was at 4 o'clock for 5 o'clock for me on Wednesday.
Okay.
Is it possible for us to start at 6 o'clock? Or was that very late for the rest of you? I mean, it's 1 hour later.
I have Wednesdays at 6 anyway.
Is it? Okay, because that would work for me. That would be fine for me this Wednesday. Okay.
The 28th. Okay.
The 28th at 6, because I have a 5 o'clock meeting. Okay. It's 6 o'clock. See, it's done.
Right.
Okay. That's perfect. So it is, no, then fine. So you want us to invite Stefan this Wednesday at 6, and also let Jacques and Juan share their experience with AI. Yeah.
And how you guys are searching the databases. If you can give us a lesson on how to search the database so that we're all doing that together. All right.
Okay.
That leaves us less than 40 minutes for Juan's presentation, but is 40 minutes good, Juan? For your presentation?
Yo voy a poner la pantalla. Y Marta, por favor, lo lee.
Certainly.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Juan.
Gracias a ti. Dame un momento. Okay.
Best parenting practices. In the transcripts, we can find the suggestion of the celestial beings to use the Urantia book as a textbook, in addition to the content of the transcripts and the writings of Daniel Rafael, PhD, to answer countless questions, and therefore, on that basis, I made the following search, aided by artificial intelligence, taking into account that there is enough information that we must adapt it to our work of elaborating the indispensable material to proceed with the learning centers for sustainable families. The teaching Jesus offered John Mark on parenting and personal development can be synthesized into a set of effective and wise parenting practices based on the reflections of Daniel Raphael, PhD, in paper 177 of the Urantia book. Here are the best parenting practices that Jesus highlighted. 1. Provide balanced and genuine love. Juan, por favor, ¿puedes subirlo?
Voy a dejar de compartir un momentico para volverlo a hacer porque lo tengo en pequeño. Okay.
Okay. He's just going to re-show.
Okay.
Hay que subirlo. Provide balanced and genuine love. Description: parental love should be genuine and balanced, avoiding both excess that might lead to inflated self-importance and insufficient affection that could result in insecurity. This type of love helps children develop healthy self-esteem and a sense of security. Practice: maintain a loving and sincere relationship with children, ensuring they feel valued without overburdening them with expectations or unnecessary luxuries. 2. Encourage independence through experience. Description: allowing children to have significant experiences and make decisions for themselves is crucial for developing their independence. It is important that these experiences do not require children to betray family love or question their loyalty. Practice: support children in decision-making and participation in activities that foster independence while maintaining a framework of love and unconditional support. 3. Apply wisdom in education and discipline. Description: wisdom in parenting involves guiding children with fair and appropriate discipline, avoiding excessive indulgence that might distort their emotional and moral development. Practice: implement balanced discipline that combines affection with clear expectations, offering guidance and correction in a constructive manner. 4. Model and teach values through example. Description: values and moral principles are most effectively transmitted when parents model them through their own actions. The family environment should reflect the values parents wish to instill. Practice: live according to the principles you wish to teach, such as honesty, empathy, and responsibility, and demonstrate these values in daily interactions with children. 5. Create an environment of emotional security. Description: a family environment that offers emotional stability and support is essential for healthy child development. Children should feel they can trust their parents and view the home as a safe refuge. Practice: establish a home where harmony and support prevail and where children feel free to express their emotions and concerns. 6. Teach children about the value of wise love and loyalty. Description: educate children to understand and value love guided by wisdom and loyalty to family and their own principles. Practice: discuss openly with children the importance of intelligent love and loyalty and how these values impact their lives and future relationships. 7. Integrate family life with spiritual principles. Description: family life should align with the spiritual and ethical principles parents wish to teach. Spirituality and morality should be integrated into daily education. Practice: include spiritual practices and discussions about values in daily life and foster an environment where faith and moral principles are lived and discussed. 8. Promote education and personal development. Description: both formal and informal education are crucial for a child's comprehensive development. It is important that children receive an education that prepares them to be critical thinkers and responsible citizens. Practice: support children's education both academically and personally, encouraging their curiosity and providing tools for learning and growth. 9. Maintain open and constructive communication. Description: effective communication between parents and children is key to successful parenting. There should be open dialogue that allows children to express their thoughts and feelings and parents to offer guidance and support. Practice: establish an open channel of communication where children feel comfortable sharing their experiences and concerns, and where parents can provide constructive advice and support. These parenting practices, inspired by Jesus' teachings and contemporary studies, provide a solid guide for raising children in a way that fosters emotional and moral health, preparing them to face life's challenges with confidence and wisdom. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Is there another document? Do you want me to continue, Juan? Do you want to ask people to ask questions? Or?
Bueno, esto es solamente las otras partes del libro Urantia
Okay.
que hablan sobre las mejores prácticas de enseñanza.
Thank you very
No es tan,
much.
no es tan largo, si quieres se puede leer.
Perfect. Is there another document in the Urantia book separate from paper 177 that also gives insight into best practices for teaching children? Yes, in the Urantia book, there are other documents that provide teachings on best practices in child rearing and education. Here are some relevant documents. 1. Document 123, The Early Childhood of Jesus. This document describes how Jesus was raised by his parents, Joseph and Mary, providing examples of parenting practices that contributed to his balanced and wise development. Section 1, The Nazareth Home. Section 2, The Early Years of Jesus. Section 3, The Events of Early Childhood. Section 4, The Days of Play and Joy. Section 5, I guess, the days, it's just a repetition. 2, document 140, the ordination of the 12. In this document, Jesus gives instructions to his apostles on how to teach others and how to relate to children. Section 5, the ordination lectures. In these lectures, Jesus talks about human nature, family, and spiritual growth, providing principles that can be applied to parenting. 3, document 177, Wednesday, Day of Rest. In addition to section 2 already mentioned, this document also offers reflections on family relationships and the importance of balanced parenting. 4, document 192, The Final Apparitions and Ascension. Section 2, The Apparition in Phoenicia. This describes an apparition of Jesus in which he gives instructions on how to guide young people in their spiritual development. 5, document 100, The Religious Life of Jesus. Section 4, The Problems of Growing Up. This section discusses how to guide children in their spiritual and moral development, emphasizing the importance of parental example in family life. These papers provide a broader and deeper understanding of the best practices of child rearing and education according to the teachings of the Urantia book.
Gracias,
Well
Marta.
done, Juan. Well done, Juan.
Mhm.
Excellent
Nicely
work.
done.
Beautifully done. Thank you.
¿Puedo enviárselos por correo al grupo?
Yes, please. Brilliant. That is
Okay.
What did he say? I'm sorry.
that is a wonderful piece of work.
Mhm. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
excellent.
Muchas gracias,
Yo-
Juan. Muy bien hecho.
You are welcome.
So
Thank you.
I have some ideas around this moving forward. It's been what I've been contemplating. And I want to tell you about my conversation with my professor yesterday. It's very exciting, but more specifically, my thought is this around this material. If we are moving into the creation of family learning centers, and we've discussed the virtual family learning center as well as ones on location, and the information that we have gotten from Macaventa is to ask the very best questions. What occurs to me as we're going through this is with each of those pieces, can you share that document again? Juan? Share the
compartirlo.
document again?
Ya. Este no es.
So we're given a great deal of information, but when we're discovering and co-creating with community, what we want to find out is who in community already has this as their basic foundation and are using that to raise kids, whether it's grandparents or families, who's already using these principles. And this goes back to the principle that I started with this, my education program, is Christ consciousness. There are people with Christ consciousness who are doing these things in community because they're already connected to spirit. And what we're trying to discover is the best practices, those people who are already connected to spirit in community, so that when we go to community, we can enhance what's being done and not tell them how to be, not tell them what to do, but to enhance what they're doing. So with each of these, I would say, number one, provide balanced and genuine love. We have a description, we have a practice. What questions can we, oops, I'm echoing somewhere. What questions can we create around this that we could make as part of our research when we go into community? So for instance, yesterday I was walking the dog at the dog park, and there's a lady there that I see quite often with her 2 pugs, and she's fun and bubbly, and she likes to talk to people. So she struck up a conversation, and we start talking about being parents and you know, how she's raised her kids, and I talk about how I've raised my kids. If I wanted to, without her realizing it, query her about how she raises her kids, I might go, parental love should be genuine and balanced. I could say, do you feel like your parenting is, you know, genuine and balanced with love and discipline? I would already have in mind a question to ask her to get her input, because it occurred to me while I was walking with her, she's the perfect person in this community to have these conversations with, and she would love, I feel it in her spirit, to be a part of a family learning center. That's who we're looking for. We're looking for people like that who really have a passion for parenting in our local communities that we can research. And research is just asking the right questions, right? It's not scientific research. It's us engaging with the community. So my first idea is, can we develop questions around each of these principles that Juan has garnered from the paper, and then adopt those into our conversation with people and begin finding people who already live this way that might be interested in working with us in developing these family learning centers. Response?
Yes, you are completely correct, Kona. This is what we have to do. For the first, for example, provide balance and genuine love. Here you have to ask the question is, how you ensure that your children are, let's say, well balanced in their emotion, you know, how they, in their eating system, in their food, what they eat. Because this is a question about all balance in their 7th sphere, finally. How you ensure that your children are balanced in their 7th sphere. But you need to, for each one, find the right question.
She literally talked about this very thing, and she on her own was telling me, you know, I didn't pay for my kids' cars. You know, we made them work for their cars. We made them work for this. And she's like, I work for doctors in helping them to organize. And I have one doctor who gave each one of his 16-year-olds $120,000 Audi as you know, that's their car. And she's like, I can't even comprehend that. I didn't do that for my kids, but now I have a good relationship with them, and I feel like I did the right thing because I kept it balanced, and we taught them about money. And so she went on and on and on. So it's very interesting that this comes up. But I agree, you know, Jacques, we need to find the right questions that we're taking into community. Other thoughts?
I
thought we had discussed it. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Martha.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, how does this fit in with Daniel's request that we actually physically go look for the best practices and showcase them first? Shouldn't we, now that, now that we have all of these, go and look for those examples and find a way to showcase them?
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about, is if you're going to use these and you're looking at, you're having conversations with real people, then you do that in a query form. That's why you create questions. Are you talking about artifacts like online, things like that? Or are you talking about query with people?
Yes, remember I don't know if were you here when right in the beginning, when we started talking about going and doing interviews, we looked at questions that you would ask people. So yes, I guess it is that anthropological process, but I guess I didn't consider just going with people in the street. I thought that one would identify through communities who were the best practice parents and then ask them, I guess I didn't think of looking and finding them amongst ourselves, just like that in the streets, that you would actually have questions where people in communities would say, these are the best parents I know. And then you would ask those questions of those parents.
Yes, we
So
talked about that.
And so,
And we
just
actually
like
did, yeah.
We did some questions, yeah.
Yes, we did.
So Daniel brought up the point today about us being encirculated and creating our intentions and the use of that energy. So it's very possible if we sit together and we say, Makaventa, Sanja, our request is that you bring to my attention in my own community 3 people in the next week that I could have these conversations with. That you're going to come across 3 people in your community that you can have these questions with. And how much more effective are you going to be if you're working with your own community as opposed to reaching out to strangers across the world, right? We want to be most effective right where we are, in community with the people who know us. It gives us the opportunity to share spirit with them. But that depends on your comfortable ability. So I'm thinking in community, because that's what happened with me yesterday. I mean, I go to the grocery store, I go to the dog park, I go to the library, I go to the schools where my grandkids are going to school. I'm coming across people all the time. How much value is there in learning about the community in which I live, and to figure out who in my first circle of influence already has some of these principles that they're operating, right? It becomes very personal. And then we can extend. We have that ripple. The ripple first starts closest to where the stone falls. Go ahead, Jacques.
Yes, this makes sense for me, but I see this in 3 steps. First steps, from this list from Rohan, we'll have to set up to prepare some question. Meaning, each one of us can take the file and prepare some question for each item. So altogether, we'll have many questions. 2, we have to go to our local community before approaching the world. Because you are correct, Kona. It's always, Makivanta is always family, local community, extended community, larger community, nation, and worldwide. And in parallel, of course, because like Marthe, she's well aware about South African women. She has a direct contact with this person. So in parallel, she can do this kind of research for the best practices in this area. So yes, 1, prepare question, 2, local community, then outside.
And think of it like, you're going to be in conversation with the people around you anyway. just be curious. People love to talk about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. You know, Jacques, for instance, one of your neighbors, you could say, you know, my grandson visits a lot, and I try to make sure that we do this for these reasons. What do you do with your grandkids? It's a simple question. How do you instill these values in your grandkids when they're with you? I'm trying to learn from other people. And it just becomes casual conversation, but people love to talk about themselves. So if we can develop very genuine questions to take into community with us in a very gentle, non-research scientific way, it opens the door and it builds relationships in the process.
And
maybe they won't think we're so weird.
No, and it is where the celestial can play a role, because if we consciously ask our thought adjuster connect to the right people in this beach, I'm sure it will work. It will work 100% for sure.
Yeah. Bea and Martha and Juan.
I'm still thinking, I guess for me, a very important part of Daniel's request of going into all the cultures to look at best practices was also there's so many negative, especially in where I am, even in our WhatsApp groups, there's so much horrific examples of terrible parenting being showcased, and people don't have access to beautiful examples of parents who are loving and caring and kind. And so that search, so I think there are two different things. You're talking about a communication method of speaking to the people one gets into contact with daily to ask about their parenting practices. And I see the other one is quite a separate anthropological study that one does through interns or anthropological students of finding out what it looks like in different cultures. So I guess in my own mind, I still see it as two different things. The one is looking for worldwide best practices, where you go and ask people, what are the best parents you know of? And then you specifically go and look for those. And the other one is where you are opening spaces for both spirit and to talk about parenting with people in one's own community. So I just see them as separate. I mean, they're connected, but they're not quite the same. So in my own mind, I'm still trying to bring them together.
So what's fun for me, Martha, is to listen to you say that when with the five of us, we are literally a global community.
Yeah.
And what you find out in your community as best practices, for instance, the women in your sawi, if you have these conversations with them you highly respect these women for their wisdom, what you learn from them becomes a global practice for me because I'm not in South Africa. And what Jacques gleans from his neighbors in France becomes a global perspective for me because I'm not in France. So even though we're doing this locally, we're providing global input to the rest of the team because we're already global. But there's more, right? There's more to tap into. Go ahead.
I guess I just wanted to, for me, the difference is asking a group of people, give us the best practices of parents that you know, is a different one from if you asked the person you met, what was the best example of parenting you've ever seen? And have them point you to that person rather than them pointing to themselves. So I guess it was, for me, it was that the first question was the difference. Asking people you know for best practices of parents is different than asking the person you talk to what their best practices are.
I see the nuance there, but what about the value if you ask a person, look at two different scenarios, someone that you know, if you say to them, what are your best practices versus what are the best practices that you've ever seen outside of yourself, the first one lets them know that you value them, that you value their opinion. And then if you first ask them their opinion, and because you value their opinion, and then you say, where did you learn that? Or did you learn that from a grandparent? Or did you learn that from someplace else? You can maybe ask about the source. And then you're creating this quality relationship where they feel valued and
Absolutely.
perhaps equal or something like that. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just consider that human value piece.
No, and I really, now that you've discussed, now that you say speak to anybody, make them feel valued, then see their practices, then ask. So it's obviously it's a very different way, and it's a quite beautiful way.
Lovely.
I think at some point, in gathering best practices, no matter how you gather them or your method, this group is going to have to be the discerning group in terms of identifying what actually are best practices, right? You could ask somebody what, or a stranger what what they think the best practices are, and they may not be, right? Or, I think at the end of the day, whoever we interview or however the method we find to interview, we still have to be the discerners.
I think that's an interesting thought, Bea, about who decides what's best.
That's
when
right.
there's the possibility of us as a team looking at what we've discovered and, like the schematic, weighing it against the values that we've been given. That's like the role of the schematic. But then you also have to analyze your own biases and assumptions for or against what you're being presented with to see, am I going to say, I think this is the best practice because it aligns with my belief system? Or am I going to look at this as what's been presented as a best practice because it aligns with the core values? And maybe I don't understand how that's a best practice yet because I haven't incorporated that into my own world. So we have to be careful when we set ourselves up as the discerners.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
Because
somebody
then we
has
become
to do it.
not
Somebody has to do it.
necessarily, Bea, because what works in your culture is not going to work in South Africa. It's not going to work in France. We have to be open to the idea that best practices in one culture are not going to be the best practices in another culture, because it's a completely different culture. But do those practices align with the core values?
Yeah.
That's the difference. And that's the discernment that comes in. Does you see the nuance?
I think we can come up with a set of parenting guidelines that would be applicable across the world, regardless of culture. And that's where the 7 core values come in, right? Regardless of what culture you're in, you should be following whatever you're doing, even though cultures have different beliefs, they have different traditions, they have different, but at the very end, at the very base of it, they should have all the 7 core values.
I'm going to call a timeout for just a second. I'm going to call a timeout for a second. Because what we're doing is entering into discussion and not dialogue. And it's defensive as opposed to discerning and listening. And when you use the word should, then you are implying a way of being that you are imposing on others as your way is the way. We should do it this way is a defensive of way that you're thinking, and it's your bias and assumption. And it takes us out of dialogue and into discussion. Do you see the difference?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe I used that word. I didn't really mean that, my idea was final. It's just my perspective.
Okay. Juan, you have your hand up?
Yes.
Sí, Marta, ¿puedes traducir?
Sí, señor. Puedes cerrar la pantalla para que te pueda mirar más grande?
Ok.
Sí, gracias.
Bueno, como ustedes todos saben, soy de un país latinoamericano y en el pasado las mejores prácticas de enseñanza que había eran muy violentas, ¿no?
Okay, I'll quickly translate. He says, as you all know, I'm from a Latin American country, and previously, the best practices of child rearing was very violent.
Era ajusticiar de una vez por cualquier falta que se cometiera.
Sorry, just repeat that again.
Que las mejores prácticas en sí era ajusticiar al niño inmediatamente que hiciera algún daño o alguna falta. Y
Yeah,
esa era
it's
la
to,
forma de enderezarlo. Hay mucha gente que dice, gracias a las palizas que me dio mi mamá, yo soy la persona que soy ahorita. Soy
he
una
says
persona
they,
correcta, echada para adelante, progresista, etcétera, etcétera.
I just want to say, he says that previously when children did something bad, they would be beaten. And there are many people who would say, I am the person I am because of the beatings my mom gave me, that because of that, I'm a progressive, correct person. So, yes.
Pero ese castigo no era un castigo que se hacía por maldad, por dañar, sino para corregir.
So this
Y,
kind of chastisement was not done for bad reasons, but to correct children.
y llevaba mucho amor por dentro.
And the parents had a lot of love within them.
Y eso es lo que la persona en realidad aprecia, que a pesar que fue golpeado para corregirlo, se le aplicó mucho amor también.
So he says, even though, so many children feel that even though they were beaten by their parents, they also were taught good lessons.
Entonces, eso que se habla de culturas, claro, en todos lados hay una cultura diferente. Para ustedes, los norteamericanos, debe ser algo odioso esas prácticas que se hacían. Que se hacían porque ya no se hacen, ya se evolucionó y ya hay leyes que protegen al niño, protegen a la mujer, protegen contra la violencia doméstica y así todo por el estilo. O sea, se ha ido evolucionando con las leyes y también con la cultura de las personas.
So
Ya no es
he
normal
just
que
says,
un padre golpee a un niño.
thank
Ya
you.
eso
So
se ve como algo horrendo.
so he says that was practices that were done in the past, and things have evolved, and children and women are now protected, and it is not, it's not normal for that to happen these days, but it was part of the practices in the past.
Como los 7 valores son universales, atemporales,
I
y
have had
otras
similar, sorry, go ahead.
y otros atributos más, yo creo que las mejores prácticas debemos iniciarlas apegándonos a los 7 valores universales,
And he says,
fundamentales.
because the 7 values are universal and 8, outside of time,
Atemporales.
yeah, we should keep to those 7 values and teach them and share them.
Y
If I may,
como,
oh, sorry.
Let him finish, please. Go
y
ahead.
como
Juan.
disculpen, como nuestro destino es llegar a los días de luz y vida a través de esas mejores prácticas, yo creo que en el futuro todos vamos a tener las mismas prácticas para educar a los niños. Y por lo tanto,
He
no
says,
debemos
can I just
estar
quickly
viendo.
translate? Sorry,
Adelante.
he just says, if we're going to get to the days of light and life, we should all have the same practices, the same childcare practices.
Anything further, Juan?
Esas prácticas serán utilizadas en el futuro inmediato. Recuerde que hasta los idiomas van a ser uno. O sea, los idiomas se van a ir perdiendo y se van a ir aplicando uno solo. Y entonces así va a ser con todas las mejores prácticas de enseñanza para ser aplicadas a nivel mundial, no a nivel regional ni a nivel nacional. Será algo
He's
que va a 300 años, 400 años adelante.
He says because the ideas, as we get closer to the days of light and life, we will all not only start speaking a similar language, but also that all the cultural things will change and we will become more and more like a single culture speaking one language and having a single set of parenting practices, you know, because we're thinking about 300, 400 years ahead.
just have to
Entonces,
have the bridge in between.
creo que debemos trabajar es sobre el futuro, no el presente ya, sobre lo que viene. Porque casualmente lo que estamos haciendo es para el futuro, no muy a lo presente. Tenemos que
So
empezar adelante.
we have to work towards the future, not for the time we're living in now. So everything we do should be based on future.
Y debemos
And there is a-
entonces unificar esos criterios.
Sorry?
Unificar todos los criterios acerca de
Oh, yeah.
las mejores enseñanzas.
So he wants us to unify all the different criteria for childcare practices.
Gracias.
And Bea, I understand you want to make a comment. There is a transition period, and there's a graph that I want to share with you if we have time, to help understand where we are, where we're trying to go, and what we have to do in the middle. Bea, you had a comment?
Yeah, I actually want, I think Juan raises a very good point, and that is the best practices. As I was saying, best practices is a matter of discernment, whether or not by us or by other people, by culture, or particularly what Juan is alluding to is by generation. So each generation has their own kind of idea of best practice, and of course that I think that varies according to where you are in the world. But for instance, I think what Juan was referring to is similar in also the Chinese culture, or just the idea that the parent knows best, regardless, whether or not they actually know best or not. And that is sort of the prevailing cultural attitude that the parents, so that's an authoritarian approach to parenthood, what Juan describes, right? And so that's, I don't know, I'm just my point is, and I agree with him that, you know, instead of, we should be focusing on the 7 core values to determine best parenting practices, not what he was talking about, which is, you know, you beat sense into your kid and then you basically you're basically brainwashing them to believe that what you did for them was the best thing for them. And so they grow up thinking, and I've heard this from other people saying, you know what, if it weren't for my dad beating my you know what, I probably would have gone down the wrong way. So there are a lot of people who actually defend the abuse of their parents and credit that abuse for the people they are today. And so I think we should just be mindful of that, that exists.
Of course, and that's why, you know, when I said earlier is that whatever we discover, we go back to the schematic and we look at whether or not it aligns with the 7 core values and how. I'm mindful that we have just a few minutes. I want to share this with you briefly, and then we'll close out. This is a graph. This is in Daniel Wall's book, Regenerative Culture. And what it is showing, you know, our world in crises, where we are. Sustaining innovation keeps the lights on and maintains. We are at survival mode, and we're trying to get to a viable world. And the transformative innovation, which facilitates this transition, is really low on the priority right now. And the world in this transition is where we're going to have to navigate before we can get to a viable world. So even though we want the best practices for 300 to 400 years from now, we really have got to create this thing in the middle that are going to help people transition out of a violent world into a concept of a better world in order to get them to the better world. So we have to have a transition. This is in order to become regenerative cultures or sustainable societies, we have to bridge the gap, because we can't, if we jump off here to here, we annihilate the world. I mean, that means that every system in place has to go away. And then that in itself is not sustainable, because then we go back to tribal living. That means, you know, you do away with everything. But if we can understand this transition place, and we understand that what our role is in the transition place, then we can help get to the regenerative culture, the sustainable families. That's the point of Daniel Wall, which I tend to agree with, is that, you know, we're not going to be in the future tomorrow, but we do have to provide this in-between space to help people get there.
Thank you very much.
And that's what the family learning centers are for.
Right, but
They are the transition
operate in the middle.
phase.
Pardon?
They
No,
are
our
the
family learning
transition.
center, right, they are the transition, exactly. So we're looking at how to get from point A to point C, and B is in the middle. All right, folks, we are at just a few minutes past 1. Any final
right.
comments before we depart? In love and friendship?
Thank you
Should we
very
set
much.
maybe an agenda for next week, or the next, like, should we give ourselves some homework, since it seems
Yes.
this family learning center is going to be our next project?
I would say prepare question using the one document. Prepare question we can ask to our community or elsewhere.
Okay.
And second step
For Wednesday,
for
yeah,
Wednesday.
for Wednesday, we have an
Wednesday?
agenda already. That
Okay.
is going to
Oh,
be the
okay.
discussion on AI.
Okay.
Well, Martha will see about inviting Stefan,
Okay.
Juan,
can
and
do it
Jacques,
at
if you
6
will
o'clock,
prepare. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that'll be at 6 p.m. And if Juan and Jacques, you also prepare, you know, bullet points on
Yeah.
how you use AI to
Okay.
help the rest of us.
Yeah.
And then Friday, we'll be back with Daniel, and we can continue our discussion and looking at those questions. Probably will take us most of the session to look at those questions and discuss how we might have those in community. Go ahead,
Okay.
Martha.
Could we ask David to use his, I'll ask David if we can use his translatable version, especially if Juan is going to present, so that we have that. I'll quickly speak to David, and if he can't, then we'll use Jacques.
There's got to be a way for Jacques, for us to get the translation. He's got the pro. He has 10 users. Jacques, didn't you meet with David about this translation issue?
No.
Not yet, no.
Juan met with David about the translation issue. David met with somebody at the end of our last meeting.
He met with Juan.
And so we still didn't get it sorted.
Yeah. I'll speak to David. We'll see if we can get him for Wednesday.
Okay, and then also, Jacques, in the meantime, if you'll make us users, maybe that will help Juan with his translation.
Okay.
Anything else for our agenda for next Wednesday or Friday? And Martha, you're on as facilitator for Wednesday. I'm back on Friday with Daniel.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Love and blessings.
Thank you very much.
Have a good meeting on Wednesday. I will be back with you on Friday.
Okay.
Thank you
Glad you
very
can join
much.
us again.
Good
Thank
good
you.
week
Bye.
to you all.
All right, have a
Mwah.
great weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, Bea.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, Kona.
Many
Ciao.
thanks.
Ciao.
Ciao
Bye.
all.